Who helps dentisting humans, dentists, survive, thrive, and not cry in the real world of dentisting? This is Paul, Dr. Nacho, founder of Dental Nachos and Dentist Job Connect. And you're going to hear from my amazing friends, sponsors, key resources on how they help dentists do the three things all dentists try to do: increase success, decrease stress, and most of all, reduce the number of times they feel like crying inside a day. We have an awesome event coming up in Philadelphia. Just text Smithson to 215-543-6454 to see one of the best dentists on planet Earth, Dr. Jason Smithson. He's coming to Philadelphia from the UK. We won't mention the outcome of the Revolutionary War while he's here. No, I'm just joking. I might mention it 5 or 6 times. But he's coming from the UK to teach us how to be better dentists: inlays, onlays, crowns, veneers, and more. You do not want to miss it. Just text Smithson to 215-543-6454. I'm ready for my first guest when they're ready to come up. So even though I know many of my guests, I'm going to ask this guest to introduce themselves and what they do to help dentists cry less inside.
Hey, Paul, I'm Alan Stern. My company is called Better, Richer, Stronger. I am a rewired and refired, but never retired dentist. Sold my practice after 42 years, and I work with dentists who want a more prosperous, meaningful, and fulfilling career. After I get through with them, they have more focus, more clarity, and more drive. They earn more money. And like you said, they don't cry inside as much as they used to. In fact, they don't cry at all.
I love that. And you've been an amazing resource. Your virtual cups of coffees have changed people's lives. I know some Alanisms, and one is show someone without stress, you show them a cadaver. Is that it?
Show me a person without stress and I'll show you a cadaver. And show me a person whose life is a perfect storybook and I'll show you a liar.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then stress, a little bit like periodontal disease. It could be mild, medium, or advanced. With the calls that you're doing of dentists of all ages and stages, what are some stress points that are coming out? Whether it's finding the right associateship, DSO challenges, selling their practice. Give our audience some updates on the calls that you take and what stress is coming out.
Some of the things I'm seeing, Paul, of course, a lot of it is money and the appropriate management. A lot of it is when patient McNasty comes in and how to really turn a confrontation into an alliance. Office manager McNasty, turn that into an alliance. It is all about aligning yourself with somebody else. The other thing is clarity. If you're in a practice that's not congruent with your vision and your understanding of what dentistry should be, and remember, there's more than one right answer, then we have to help you align properly with the practice or make a decision on where your next step is going to be.
Treatment plan your own career for happiness. Alan, remind me, who's your favorite football team? I forgot. Who's your favorite football team?
The New York. It's not the Eagles. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. It's not the Eagles. It's I'm a New York sports fan.
New York. So whether we go Jets or Giants, both having some struggles, but we see during a football game, there is friction, right? There's friction, which is normal, but sometimes that boils over into toxicity. Give our audience, what should they be thinking about, whether they're the office manager, the associate, some keys to knowing that they're not in a toxic environment? Because I know you deal with people who are in toxic environments. So someone's listening saying, is this the environment I'm in? Give them some tips on that.
What we have to understand is that we are here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is the human being on the other side of those instruments. If we can align ourselves with the office manager, with the dental assistant, and with that patient, that we're all together on this team to do something great for a human being, to do sacred work. You can change the environment of your operatory if you're not an owner, and you can change the environment if you are not a dentist. If we just refocus on that why and get our heads out of the sand and stop seeing it as a production factory. We've got to earn money, Paul. We've got to bring into the practice more money than they're paying us.
For sure.
We got to bring in more money than we're paying ourselves if we're owners. But we got to do it the right way, and a way that re-emphasizes the meaning of the word doctor.
Love that. Well, I'm thrilled to have you as a friend, part of our community. What do you have coming up next? People can text Stronger to 215-543-6454. But before you finish up, tell us, what do you have coming up next?
My group coaching on the ride is for young dentists. We get together twice a month for an hour, and we talk about things like this. And What you don't know, big surprise, big announcement. Kevin Tallman, the CEO of Mango, and I are going to be conducting a little bit of a business growth symposium later.
Awesome.
And it's all PHREE, free, in honor of Philadelphia. It's
Mango, better, richer, stronger, part of the 6 degrees of Nacho Kevin Bacon that I'm so proud of, connecting people. Thanks so much, Alan, for sharing with us today.
Well, thank you for being my friend.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon, Alan. Thanks. So as you guys can see, there are things that dental school does not teach that you need to know to succeed, to survive, to not cry. I'm ready for my next guest and everybody up. So thrilled to have you with us. Tell us what you do in your daily life to help dentists cry less inside.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm Connor Mallman. I'm a senior consultant with Student Loan Planner. We help dentists make a treatment plan to get rid of their student loans, right? Cheaper, in a less stressful way than they probably thought possible.
And Connor, you could just say that I don't need any more help because I'm looking at my phone for a reason. Literally 14 minutes ago, someone texted me, hey, Doc, my brother's looking to talk about Student Loan Planner and get organized his loan. Do you still have a sponsor code for them? And I sent it to them. But this amazing dentist, who's been a fan of mine for years, Connor, said, of all the sponsors that you have to help us, Student Loaner helped me the most because my wife and I were staring down over $600,000 of debt. So just if people are hearing about you for the first time, you've been sponsors for years, how do you help that couple that is saying, man, we're associates, we got $700,000 in debt, we're each making 180 grand a year, we feel like we have money, we don't know if we have money, it's confusing to deal with money. How do you guys come in and help couples like that?
Yeah. So folks schedule one-time consults with us. They give us their loan information that comes from the Department of Ed, and we walk through in the consult with them what they have, but they know the total balance of what they have, but what do they really have, right? Why are things the way they are, and how can they tweak them to save money, right? A lot of dentists don't even know that you can actually get your loans forgiven. If your loan balance is, let's say that same couple, right, they're making 180 each as associates. If their loan balance is over one and a half times their income, right? Take that 360 total and multiply it by 1.5. If they have more in loans, they can get those loans forgiven. But Department of Ed puts them straight on the standard plan and says, hey, pay $6,000 a month.
Yeah, no one tells you the rules of this crazy game. I'm 46 years old. Back in the day, they said that fat made you fat. And then they said you could eat good fats, right? It blew my mind. Now I just eat avocados all the time. I'm on 100% avocado diet. I'm just joking. That may not be healthy either. But what I've learned with Student Loan Planner, my podcast, and Travis and Dan and your people is like paying these loans off. It's not intuitive. Explain why, these type A dentists who say, I'll get the job done. And, I'll live in my parents' basement. I won't even live in my parents' basement. I'll live in the shed and I'll rent out the basement on Airbnb. Why should they not just be dumping every last dollar to pay off their loans? What are some of the risks associated with that? Whether it's practice purchase, whether it's their sanity. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, again, that's where Department of Ed thinks you should go by default, right? They give you the plan of pay your loans off in 10 years and pay, for an average dentist who comes out with 300,000 roughly, that's about $3,300 a month. Yeah. That same dentist, if they're, like you were saying, an associate making 180 a year, they could pay $1,200, $1,300 on an income-driven plan and get the loans forgiven, right? After a certain amount of time, that $1,200 or $1,300 helps them buy a house, right? When they're coming out of school with an existing mortgage payment, essentially, buy a house, buy a practice, right? Other kinds of financing they can qualify for.
And I think, I'm here giving out free marketing tips, Connor. You can pay me if you want, but your tagline should just be to these dentists, let's treatment plan your loans together so you don't cry inside over this career you spent your entire life getting, right? Because
exactly.
Right now, I say this all the time in my lectures, debt's just as much an emotional challenge as it is a financial challenge. And these dentists like Alan, who was just on here, who went to school, more than a decade ago, multiple decades ago, they just don't have the context for what a new dentist wakes up and thinks my loan balance is $727,000. But student loan, I've called you guys the Batman of this whole world because you come in and ride to the rescue, fly to the rescue and say, hey, it's not as bad as you think. Hey, there are these ways to do it. So if people text loans to 215-543-6454, what do they get? They do a consult with you guys, just deepen our understanding of this consult.
Yeah. So they get an action plan on how to tackle their loans. which frequently saves, we've served about 16,000 people and saved them almost $1 billion.
That's awesome.
It works out to about $65,000 on average per person. We haven't done the numbers, but I'd argue that's probably higher for dentists with the higher balance generally. But you get a plan on how are these loans going to impact everything, right? From a practice purchase, from a house purchase, how do we get rid of them as economically as we can? Then you get a follow-up email with that action plan, right? Specifically how to execute on it. We want to take all the stress out of it, right? Or as much as we possibly can.
I love that. The loan treatment plan to decrease stress. Well, thanks so much for being an amazing sponsor, supporter. I know we're going to see you guys at our upcoming event soon. And thanks so much for sharing with us, Connor.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
So dental school debt, it is quite, as the kids say, nacho nuts. So use Student Loan Planner to help you decrease stress, to help you make it manageable. I'm ready for my next guest when they're ready to bring them up. Okay, so we have our next guest here. Tell our audience on Talking Nachos what you do to help dentists cry less inside.
Hey, so Brian Hernandez, dental implant SEO, and something that we do to help them, not cry as much is get them ranked on the first page of Google. Now, there's only 10 spots on there, so some of them have been crying for quite a while, decades.
Yeah. I love that, Brian. I was just at a lecture this weekend, and they said if you're not on the first page of Google, you're pretty much invisible. Part of this show is to scare a little bit. Do you see customers, clients, dental office that said, we're doing great on Google, and then you have to show them you're not doing so great? Is that part of your daily life?
Yeah, right. Exactly. A lot of people, if they did ever partner with an agency, they might get ranked for smaller search terms, but we really want to go after the larger search terms, right? Dentist in the city you're in, dental implants in the city you're in. So absolutely. And a lot of it also has to do with their cache or their history, right? If you stay in your office and you search for stuff, it's going to keep showing up.
Yes, exactly. This speaker did a cool thing. And Lindsay, we said like you could go into private mode and use this QR code and kind of see where you're at and people like that. And I, personally, I worked with you and your partner TJ, or knew TJ years ago. And you taught me a lot in the olden days. TJ taught me a lot about this whole world.
Yeah.
It changes quickly. It moves quickly. He also sent some great end of the year gifts. So tell TJ thanks for that.
I will.
So one of the things that's easy to do as a dental practice owner is be totally overwhelmed, right? You have to deal with so many different vendors, resources, advisors, and see patients. Just walk us through, if someone texts ranking to 215-543-6454, they reach out to you and say, hey, Brian, I haven't used a marketing agency in 3 years. Hey, I'm switching. Hey, I just opened a practice. Tell us about that first consult with you guys.
Yeah, actually, so we're just doing search engine optimization. We could offer additional Google AdWords management and things of that nature. But right now, if somebody called us, I would run a report, show where they rank, let them know what the search volume is in their market. I just had a phone call yesterday with the gentleman that wanted to focus on Invisalign, and he has zero traction. He's, got some traction for other keywords, but that's something because of the market he's in and things are changing. He wants to get in front of people on the first page of Google.
I like that a lot. And, do you deal with dentists who purchased an existing practice that has a problematic web presence or doesn't do SEO? Are those type of customers good to come to you? Someone who just bought a practice from maybe a dentist like a Dr. Allen, and he's saying, hey, I'm riding off into the sunset. This is yours. I don't know. I got a website, bestdentist.com. Tell us about that type of client.
Well, that's so important because market for dentists in the city. So that right there alone is saying, okay, this pipeline is continuously going to grow as patients die off or move on or whatever the case may be. Now, if somebody's buying a practice, one of the things they're really going to want to know is what the market bears, what the opportunity is. So that's another service that we offer with the report that we run for them. Let them know that there's 250 implant searches each month, or teeth cleaning, cosmetic, those variables.
Yeah, and I think what's key and what you're bringing out is it's really important to market for the services you like to do, because you just mentioned that Invisalign dentist who is excited to get an Invisalign patient and isn't getting any, and meanwhile he may have some keywords of patients that just isn't your cup of dentisting tea, so to speak, if you're doing emergency extraction. So love what you're sharing. Thanks for supporting our group. People can text ranking to 215-543-6454. Any other messages you want to give our community about how they can connect with you, know what you do, move forward with you?
No, just a website, dental implant SEO. There's a contact form on there, and love to run a free rankings report to at least find out where they're at.
Awesome.
Thank
I
you
love
so
the
much.
I love the free rankings report. People, dentists, they're a competitive group, right? So now I want my own free rankings report just to have it.
Absolutely.
So love that. We'll share that in the comments. Thanks so much, Brian,
Thank
for
you.
being a supporting sponsor. So as you guys see, you can learn about so many things, from improving your morale with Dr. Alan Stern to figuring out your money with Student Loan Planner, and now marketing, getting yourself to the place you want to be for the services you want to be with dental implant, with dental SEO, and Brian and his group. So I'm ready for my next guest when they're ready. I know these guys, but I want them to introduce themselves to our audience here. Tell us what you do to help dentists cry less inside.
Well, Dr. Chris Phelps here. Good to see everybody. And my good friend Jason Milton's here with me from Custom Capital. Kind of what I do is help doctors solve the pain points in their life and their practice. That definitely helps keep them from the tissues away. But really, it's more about freeing up their time and profitability. And that's where Jason and I have kind of come together and designed a 2-day program coming up where we're just going to do that, the Profitable Practice Symposium. Help doctors increase new patients, increase case acceptance, decrease attrition, decrease their overhead expense. Wouldn't that be nice in today's inflated economy? Yeah. On top of that, learning how to add new procedures like orthodontics to their practice, maximize dental insurance with the great Travis Campbell joining us as well. I mean, it's literally an all-star crew of people who have really dialed in on our first day to teach doctors how to make their practice more profitable. Right?
Love that. I want to go to Jason. When is this event, Chris? I just want to make sure we put that in chat. What dates are the event?
Yeah, so the event it's coming up. Is literally next weekend, February 23rd and 24th.
Where are you hosting it?
It's going to be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and it's also available online. So you can stream us anywhere in the world.
Awesome. Make sure I get that online code so I can help with that. Now, Jason, tell us what you do. I know you don't pick up a handpiece. I know you're upset about that. I know, one of your life regrets, Jason, is not doing a class 2 filling, but tell us what you do when you're not instead of that.
Hey, Paul, good to see you again. We're Custom Capital. We help dentists by investing in commercial real estate easy and help them to retire early. Yeah, that's the short story. So on our 2-day event coming up, really excited to join Paul and the other speakers that we're going to talk about that are coming down to South Florida in the cold winter, Paul.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Got complimentary tickets for you and the team. But we're going to teach them how to increase the revenues of their practice, then position their practice for a sale. We got a great speaker, national speaker, coming to talk to dentists about that, so they've done dozens, so they don't get hurt, what to look for. And then with that, what to invest their money in so they can have so they can accelerate their wealth, retire well.
Also, when we're done, Jason, remember me to connect you with this dentist, because I just talked with an amazing dentist from my event last week who said, I sold my practice and I didn't know what to do with the money, right? And, if you think about it, Chris, we're both dentists. I'm surprised because they talk so much about how to handle money in dental school. She must have missed that class. Oh, just kidding. They don't talk about it at all. Very good at collecting $500,000 dental school. They are pros at that. But when you get into dental school, I mean, Chris, one of the things that, I'd like to ask you about, since we're the only two ones crazy enough to be dentists, is why do you think profitability is not talked about in dental school? Are they afraid of it? We have no one to teach it? If you think about it, it's pretty crazy that they teach us to be dentists and then say, okay, everyone, leave. And they don't really talk about how to make your business survive, how to stay sane, how to invest in equipment. Give us a few minutes on Chris Phelps and what you think about that.
Yeah, I know, at least in my generation, so we're flashing back 20 years ago, and I can think of the professors I had at my school. It wasn't really talked about or accepted, number one, because nobody taught them before.
Yeah.
Let's just pass down the cycle of pain to the next.
Yeah. Pass down the cycle of pain. I'm writing that down.
Just keep that cycle going, right? So they didn't get exposure to it. And back then, right, because, we had really good profit margins. And really not a ton of competition with each other or with corporate groups or whatnot. You could be a really bad business person and still have a great life. Yeah. So, there really was no need in their mind. Their priority was, well, we're not teaching them how to run their business. We're just trying to teach them how to be a dentist.
And I want to ask Jason something, but it makes me this story from Aaron Nicholas, who's an amazing DSI coach, and he's now a sponsor. When he bought a dental practice, it's a true story. He bought a dental practice. It was going so poorly from a profitability standpoint. He goes, I'm going to hire a consultant, right? And he said to the consultant, how much do you charge? And he gave him a fee. And he goes, well, good. If you don't keep me in business, I won't be able to pay you after 6 months. And it turned his whole business around. But that's how desperate he was. He said, I got 20 grand and 6 months of operating expenses. Yeah. And how sad is that? Now, Jason, I want to ask you, I have not met a dentist or a person who's regretted saying they paid attention to investing in real estate. They've always said, I'm glad I did it. However, I've met a lot of people who are quite hysterical about if you invest in real estate, you're going to lose all your money. If you invest in real estate, you're going to have to carry around a hammer like Batman to fix toilets and planks. Just give our audience what's the value of paying attention to real estate investments as a dentist?
Well, there's a lot of options out there, and I find that a lot of times dentists don't know. We work with a lot of dentists, as you know, and that's why we're here working with Chris. There's a lot of options out there, and they don't know which way to go. But I think that when you partner with a company that knows what they're doing and that can teach you how to do it passively, and teach you what to look for in a good investment, corporate guarantees, absolute triple net leases, where long leases, by the way, where you can go and focus on your business and let your money grow fairly passively, is really what we think is part of the keys to success.
I love you sharing that, because it's just like you saw with Student Loan Planner and real estate. You have to know the rules to be successful, and you have to work with people who know the rules to be successful. I've used Dr. Roshan's story about being able to retire on his own terms. And I think that's such a great, at the age of, in his early 30s, and, paying attention to stuff. I mean, Chris and I both say, I wish I paid attention to this thing sooner. And some of it's clinical, right, Chris, with learning implants, but a lot of it has to do with, as you heard Alan say, managing the money in your life. So I'm proud to have you guys sharing this profitability conference. Just as we wrap up, tell us one more time, what are they going to learn when they come down to Fort Lauderdale? I know, Chris, you have a strict rule at your C courses, no wine left behind, right? That's a very strict rule. But in addition to the fun, just kind of reinforce maybe a couple people they're going to see and how they can find out about getting tickets. Either one of you guys can share that.
Yeah. So, I put a lot of influence on the speakers that are going to be talking in both days to bring the meat. Okay. Most of the time you may have gone to a meeting in the past and you got a couple of good nuggets and you're like, I guess that was worth my time. Right. This is all meat. So you better come hungry. So the goal is everybody should leave with an action plan and 5 or 6, if not 15 different ways to increase their profitability, either through increasing revenue, increasing new patients, adding more services, or decreasing overhead, or ideally both. Right.
Yeah.
And then learning how to leverage that money to make it work smarter for you and safer, so you don't have to work harder. That's where Jason and his crew come in.
Absolutely love that. You also have Dr. D'Angelo Webster, someone who I've mentored. I know he's going to be talking. He's got some amazing things to share about what he does. So both of you guys, so proud to have you sponsoring the group. Hope to high five in person soon. I know you're going to have an awesome event next week. Thanks so much for sharing.
Appreciate it.
So you learned so much here on Talking Nachos. If you'd like to be a guest on Talking Nachos, just reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. And thank you for our awesome sponsors for supporting what we do.